This is the Scholarlynk news for 4th December 2020. The travel bubble to facilitate leisure travel between Singapore and Hong Kong has been delayed due to the rising number of COVID-19 cases in Hong Kong. The exact start date will be reviewed again later this month. The chief executive of Hong Kong has urged residents to stay home as Hong Kong health authorities warn that this could be the city's worst wave of COVID 19 infections. For the last week, Hong Kong has had more than 70 new daily infections. The 7-day moving average of unlinked cases in Hong Kong has risen to 16, far above the maximum number of 5 agreed by both Singapore and Hong Kong. Singapore Airlines supported the delay and will allow affected customers to rebook their flights or request for a full refund. Think about it. What do you think is the cause for the sudden increase in infections in Hong Kong? Do you think the two cities acted responsibly by delaying the travel bubble? Due to the COVID 19 pandemic, pilots are not getting enough flying time because airlines have grounded planes due to the drop in demand for air travel. Border restrictions and mandatory quarantine have deterred international travelers. Further, it is estimated that one-third of the world's passenger planes are in storage. This has made it harder to maintain pilot proficiency and flying experience. Other factors such as loss of income, uncertainty about jobs, and the future of the airline brings in additional stress for the pilots, which also causes their proficiency to drop. There has been a lot of concern regarding how to bring pilots back into active duty when they have not flown for long periods. One way for pilots to maintain their proficiency levels is by using flight simulators. However, there are also obstacles here, as not all airlines have simulators for every plane in their fleet. Think about it. Do you think airlines should strictly enforce how much flying time pilots must have? This would be safer, but might cause more pilots to be laid off. What are some ways to strike a balance? In Indonesia, many families across the country are still unable to provide adequate nutrition and attention to their children, thus hindering their proper early childhood development. Early childhood development in Indonesia initially showed potential, but the COVID 19 pandemic may erase all the progress that has been made. Indonesia was among the first 91 countries to collect data needed to obtain a score in UNICEF's Early Childhood Development Index. This has shown the government's commitment to achieving their goals. The country scored highly for physical and learning indicators, but much lower on literacy numeracy and social emotional indicators. Also, the scores vary greatly across the different provinces. One additional problem is that of stunting, which is the halted development of children because of lack of nutrition and social stimulation. 1 in 3 Indonesian children suffers from stunting. Think about it. Do you think investment in education is best done at the youngest stage? In other words, do you think you get the best bang for your buck helping younger rather than older children? Thailand's 9-judge constitutional court ruled that Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha was not guilty of conflict of interest by continuing to live in an army residence after retiring from the army. He will remain as Prime Minister and Defense Minister. Many people were not surprised at the verdict as they believe that legal loopholes are always sought to protect the Prime Minister. China's Chang'e 5 lander-ascender combination has landed on the moon and started gathering lunar rocks and soil. It is expected to work for 2 days, and after the operations are completed, it will bring about 2 kilograms of lunar samples back. It is only the third spacecraft to successfully land on the moon in the 21st century, with the other two craft also being from China. Once all the lunar samples are collected and packed, an engine on the ascender will lift it to dock with the re-entry module on the orbiter re-entry combination orbiting 200 kilometers above the moon. It will transfer the samples and then separate from it. Planners considered many factors when choosing the landing site for the spacecraft. They wanted a region that was previously unexplored, that was safe for landing, and that was covered in sunlight. Think about it. Why do you think other countries have not tried sending spacecraft to the moon this century? Is this evidence of China's emerging scientific and engineering prowess? The Justice Department is investigating whether there was a secret scheme to lobby White House officials for pardons. Related is whether there is a plot to offer large political contributions in exchange for a pardon. Pardons are common at the end of a president's tenure and are sometimes politically difficult choices, as some convicted criminals use their White House connections to secure a pardon. The existence of this investigation was revealed in a court order from a US district judge, which granted investigators access to some emails connected to the schemes. However, most of the information, such as the identity of those being investigated, is redacted. Think about it. Is it alarming that criminals can have access to the president and may even be able to influence his decision to grant pardons? Is there any way to prevent something like this if it is true? This brings us to the end of today's edition of the Scholarlynk News. Please subscribe to get notified of new videos, and as always, goodbye and have a wonderful rest of the day.